Hello, 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 hello. It is the live stream. I know it's about an hour early, or almost an hour early, but I believe the Yankees are playing tonight, and I was invited to go out and watch the game. So I was just like, should I do the live stream? Shouldn't I do the live stream? Should I do it earlier or cancel it outright or do it tomorrow? And I put a poll on the gram of Insta, and some people saw the poll but did not vote in the poll. So I'm just like, huh, okay. Heat big tarot reader. What does your intuition tell you to do? Does your intuition tell you to just say fuck it and not do the live stream at all? Or do you feel strongly enough to teach this topic tonight, even if no one shows up, or even if you guys are watching the replay? And I felt strongly enough to say, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to do it because I look forward to this live stream each and every Friday night as much as you guys do, or as much as you guys look forward to listening to me, watching it, partaking in the lessons that I have to share. So I figured, fuck it, let's do it. But just a little bit earlier so that we can head out earlier. Because I believe the Yankee game starts at 6:30, if I'm remembering correctly. So I've got a hard stop at that time, but let's do it. And I will tell you a little bit about what we're talking about tonight after the intro. So give me 20 seconds and I'll be back. All right, I am back, and introductions are probably in order if this is your first time watching. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Hilary. I am a professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. I do these live streams every Friday night and have been doing so for the last 5 years in August. I keep on saying 4 years, and it's just like, no, it's 5 years in August. So it just seems really, really crazy to me. Anyway, each Friday night, I tackle a different metaphysical or divination subject. You've talked about so many different topics over the years at this point, that I've probably covered everything under the sun by popular request or something that I wanted to talk about. So that goes from spirit boards to nitty gritty, in depth card discussions for tarot or Lenormand or Kipper or Oracle cards. And we have replays available, searchable on the Tube of You or the Book of Face. So please feel free to peruse at your leisure. And tonight's episode, we are talking about something that I've been circling around for a little while now, ever since I got my tapping certification, the emotional freedom technique, tapping certification through Gala Darling. That was about 2 years ago in April that I got my certification. I've been circling around this concept of tapping on releasing blockages to your intuition, because to me, strengthening your intuition, it's a muscle. I believe, I mean, I wouldn't say it at the beginning and the end of every episode of this live stream if I didn't believe it, that I am demystifying the mystical and I'm putting you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, you have intuition. I would not say that at the beginning and the end of every episode, unless I really, really did believe that. But so I do believe that intuition is a muscle. I believe it's something that everyone has, and it can be strengthened with practice and with use. And like there's a reason why I have the High Priestess tarot card permanently inked on my forearm, is because I know that I have intuition, and it's reminding me of every time I have not listened to my intuition and being burned for it, like, and I know that you and probably everyone that's watching this, or people that are not watching this, have those instances. You could probably call it to mind right now of a time that you knew something was up and you denied it, or you doubted yourself, or you were told no, 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 that's not what's going on. And you end up getting burned by it, because like our intuition is there to help us, folks. Like that's what it's there to do. It's to help protect us and guide us. And I really believe that it's not so much about strengthening. I mean, it is about strengthening, but it's also about releasing the blockages to us hearing intuition, number one, and two, acting on it, actually listening to it. Like there's hearing and then there's hearing. And you might be hearing, but might not be hearing. Do you know what I mean? If you know what I mean, go ahead and say so in the chat. But you can probably call to mind probably one, if not more times in your past, where you knew something and you just knew it in the depth of your being, and you doubted yourself or somebody convinced you out of it, and then you ended up getting burned by it. Like, that's intuition. And that's the reason why you should be heeding your intuition. So anyway, that is the topic of tonight's episode, is talking about common blocks to intuition. And then also, let's use some tapping. I'm certified in it, to release some of those common blockages to your intuition. So this is going to be an interactive episode. I am going to call on you. But don't worry, you won't have to come on camera if you don't want to. It's totally fine. As long as you comment in the comment section and tell me what your blockages are to intuition and answer some questions. You don't have to participate any more so than you feel comfortable doing. But also, I am going to say to you that a little bit of discomfort is very natural in the process, not just for intuition, but also for tapping. All right. Anyway, if that sounds good to you, awesome. So there are a couple of fixtures along the way on a live stream that I do. We have some regular pillars of the live stream. First of all, it's the astro-weather from Teresa Reed's wonderful Astro Biz Digest that usually kicks off the episode. Then we talk a little bit about the topic at hand. It's going to be tapping on common blocks to intuition, and then tapping on them, doing a couple of little tapping rounds. If you're not familiar with tapping, I do have a couple of episodes, a couple of replays on that if you want to go off and watch that. If you want to, like, if you're watching the replay, I would recommend going and looking at the episodes that I've done on tapping first, if you're not familiar with tapping already, but it is pretty straightforward, and I will explain it before we do it tonight. So you don't have to go back to those episodes unless you want to. Then we will do the mid-episode reading, in which one lucky viewer will win a free 3-card reading with me live here on the broadcast. And I will put up that crawler to let people know, like, that is the time of the reading. Any reading requests that come in through the chat will likely be ignored, or I will just say, if you want to book a reading with me, you can totally do so at my website right there. And so we'll do the mid-episode reading if people are around for it. If not, I totally understand, because I'm doing this an hour early. Like, who knew? Also, I need to do a tech check before we go any further. But anyway, let me finish off. So we'll finish off the episode with the weekend forecast, in which I pull either a tarot or an oracle card to send us into the weekend prepared and not scared. So if that sounds good to everyone, go ahead and give me a hell yeah in the chat, and I will do my checks before we go any further, and also fix my headphones because they're starting to fall out of my ears. They weren't secure in my ear to begin with. Hold on. Okay, I think we're good. I hope we're good. I hope we're good with audio as well. Yeah, looks like the settings are correct. Oh, good. Fran's here. Good. Oh, that makes me feel good, Fran. I know I'm throwing you all for a loop by starting an hour earlier. And I'm sorry about that. Oh, good. Anna's here too. Fantastic. All right. Woo. All right. You guys are with me. Awesome. I'm glad the algorithm dinged for you to let you know episode starting. It's here. It's happening tonight. It's happening, but it's just starting a little early because I want to go and watch the Yankees game, and hopefully it won't get I don't know where they're playing tonight. If they're playing here, there might be a rain delay. If they're not playing here, then we should be okay. Either way. Awesome. See? And this is what I'm talking about, intuition, folks. I was just checking and there you were. Yes, exactly. All right. So I don't have to do as many tech checks as I thought because I see that we're working correctly to the book of the face. I just need to quickly pop into the tube of the U and make sure everything is copacetic. And hopefully this won't happen, but if you happen to not hear me or see me, if the audio goes out or the video goes out, let me know in the chats. That is the only way that I will know, because most of the time I'm using my third-party software and it looks all good on my end until I see, comments pop up like, we can't hear you. Oh no, we lost you. Oh no. So please let me know in the comments if you can't hear or see me at any time, and I will check my settings on my end. Please and thank you. Yeah, it looks all right. Tube of you looks good. Awesome. Great. Cool. All right, let's do the AstroBiz Digest. So AstroBiz Digest is astrology in layman's terms, sent straight to your inbox. It is geared towards entrepreneurs and business owners, but I have found it to be incredibly helpful in planning my personal life. And it is from Teresa Reed, otherwise known as the Tarot Lady. And for some reason, AKA and otherwise known as, or as known as, that two and two didn't come together until right now in my mind, and I'm 43 years old. So is that sad or what? AKA the Tarot Lady. So this is her subscription service, $99 for a year-long subscription. And you get your astrology in layman's terms every single week. And also she does month summaries as well at the beginning of the month as well. So I usually give the main transits that are going on, and then the nitty-gritty for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because I believe so strongly in this product. I've been a subscriber since day one of her offering this, and I don't want to give away the farm because I want to be able to support her work. So I'm just giving you a tiny taste of what the AstroBiz Digest is, and if you like what you're hearing and seeing, you can go ahead and purchase a subscription for yourself on her website. And you can find that at www.thetarolady.com/AstroBiz Digest. And that is in the chat. I will display it on screen here for you as well. And I'll keep that up as I pull up the astrology from my phone, because I'd rather not play the tab game in which I have 50 tabs open at once and then can't find the window in which I'm broadcasting in. Have you ever had that happen to you? I have. It's not fun. All right. So. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. So, for those of you who were here last week for how to do festival readings or the do's and don'ts of festival readings, and you wanted to know how did my festival go that I was doing the next day, it went well. It was I don't I would say that I wasn't as busy as I would have liked to have been, but I definitely got some color. If you're wondering, is that a tan or a sunburn? It's a tan that's that used to be a sunburn. So it was a beautiful, beautiful day. I did do some readings, and I was very glad of the astrology from Teresa Reed, because she did warn me that some clients might be difficult, and I did have that experience happen. But I felt very strong in myself and confident in myself, that when the person that came up to me that was very skeptical, started asking me questions that were kind of like not so nice, I just felt very strong and confident. And, if I was a younger reader, or a newer reader, that probably would have thrown me. And certainly I've had situations like that before. But I'm not. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that newer reader anymore. So, it was fine. I'll tell you more about it after the Astrobiz digest, but yeah, definitely had those moments happen, and so I was very grateful for that heads up. Yeah, Anne says, "Good for you, lady." Thank you. I appreciate it. I might as well just tell you right now. So I do have the Astrobiz up here, and there's no major changes in the cosmos this week. The vibe is still as busy as can be, though. So, and now we'll get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, Teresa told me on her beautiful Instagram live that she does every morning, or I don't know if she does it every morning at this point. She might do it every Monday and Friday. She might have dropped down a little bit, but she does tarot transits and tangents, in which she gives astrology, and then she'll usually pull a card for every sign in the zodiac, and then sometimes after that she'll do card for the collective and then an unboxing. So if that interests you, she's on Instagram, the Tarot Lady, at the Tarot Lady. That is her. Except no substitutes. Like, we also did an episode here on the live stream called Scammers, Spammers, and Charlatans, in which I discussed that whole concept of impersonation and clone accounts, and why the fuck do people do this? They do it because they're trying to make a quick buck. But it's something that a lot of tarot readers and psychics deal with, these impersonators or people acting on their behalf, and trying to scam for money, and then you don't get a reading. You like pay your money, and then you don't get a reading from the person you said, or you just get like a video of a candle flickering, and that's it. So we're very keen, we're very aware of that. So, like, that's the reason why I'm saying, and that's the reason why I did an entire episode on the subject. So just be cautious of who you're following. Are they who they say they are? And we're usually always saying, like, look at the look at the look at the handle, look at the username. Like, does it match up with that person? Like, does the person actually use their face, or is it this? Like, when was the account created? Like, that episode, Scammers, Spammers, and Charlatans, should be very, very helpful in you discerning what's real and what's not real on the internets. Anyway, sorry for the aside. I get very, very angry at this. So Teresa was doing her astrology portion, and then she said something about the weekend being very difficult, and people like testing you, or people being very abrasive, and it's just like, it's not great for work with the public this weekend. And I'm just like, God damn it. Like, and I said in the chat, like, I'm doing a festival tomorrow. Like, is there any good news here? Like, are you serious? Like, what can I do? And she was just like, take deep breaths. And she was like, I'm just letting you know, you are going to get tested. Like that is going to happen. You are going to get tested. So that was very, very helpful for me. And also, this is part of the reason why I start every episode with the astrology, so that you can be prepared and not scared. Like, work with the energy that's there. Don't work against it. Like, if the energy is saying, like, if the energy is saying like stay home and clean because the public is not receptive right now, and then you go out and you're doing an event, like obviously you can't put it off. Like, if you have an obligation, if you made a commitment, then obviously you have to honor that commitment, but also like be aware. Yeah, so Fran, exactly. And this is the reason why we did the episode last week about festivals. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And sometimes you won't know if it's for you unless you try it and you hate it, or you try it and you love it, or you try it and you're ambivalent about it, like, so I don't know if I can handle it. Like, I mean, some events are just not geared towards certain sensibilities. I mean, like, I know, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn, but like Teresa has said this publicly before. She was just like, I used to do parties and I hated it. It felt like a psychic gangbang. That's what she said. And I'm pretty sure exactly how she said it too. So it's not for everybody. Doing parties is not for everyone. Doing festivals is not for everyone. Reading in bars, not for everybody. But I will say, the sheer volume of reading at events, you learn your craft quickly. It's trial by fire, like, but friend, you're absolutely right. It's not for everyone. So just know what your limits are. Anyway, long story short. So I did have a couple of readings which were very nice. And I know it's not about me. It's not about me, fine, whatever. It's about the client that's sitting in the chair. So, I started off the day with a reading that went very well. And, usually I will leave it up to the person that's sitting whether or not they want to tell me about the situation. Because there are definitely people at festivals that do have the want to kick the tires experience, or they're just like, I don't want to give away anything. Like, I don't want to give you anything. I want there to be, and like, for one of two reasons. Either they're testing you, or they want your answer to be as pure as possible. They don't want you to be unduly influenced. So I can understand it from both sides. And I definitely can sense the difference. So let's see. The first person did tell me about the situation, and then I pulled the cards, and then I did the reading, and she was like, thank you very much, thank you very much, like, okay. And I was like, and if this sounds exactly like what your friends have been telling you, what you've been telling yourself, if you read cards through yourself and it's confirmation, then I did my job. Like, a lot of the readings that I do are confirmation of your intuition, like we're talking about here today. Like, you have intuition, you know um well, I mean, why would they want to waste your energy like that? So sad. Yeah, I mean, like, different strokes for different folks. Like, I'm not going to judge. And most of the time, um, it's either they want a pure reading, which I understand. They don't want me to be unduly influenced. And then there are other people that are kicking the tires to see if I'm the real deal. And and this is the reason why I'm saying it. So the first person, fine. Second person, man. So, oh, what's this all about? By the way, I have my signage out and I have my cards out. I've got like crystals on top of them so they won't fly away. It was very windy. I will say that. I'm just like, why did I forget that wind was going to be a factor? Why? Keep big tarot reader. Forgot the mortal enemy of a tarot reader is wind when reading outside. But whatever. So it was pretty clear what I was doing when he was like, what's this all about? And and with like this bluster, and it's just like, chest puffed, machismo energy. And I'm just like, oh, I'm a tarot reader. Then how long have you been doing this for? It's like, oh, well, I'm so glad you asked. I was actually calculating that in the drive here, and I've been doing it 20 years next year. A little taken aback. I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, it's right. And then the next question was, okay, so knowing I said 20 years next year, do you really believe in this stuff? To my answer, yes. That's it. And then he like kind of like took a beat because I wasn't explaining either way. I just said yes. And he was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And then, of course, we shuffled or whatever. I gave the reading, and he was just like, he's like, okay. And he paid, and then he left. And then the last person that I read for, and I determined this is the last person I was going to read for because, there were long gaps in between, and mostly I was directing people. I wasn't giving readings. I was just explaining what this was about, and then directing them to, like, I guess the main part of the festival. And the last person I read for, really needed a reading. Her best friend was performing, and she was like, "My friend really needs a reading. If she sits down with you, like, I'll pay for it. I just she needs a reading." I'm just like, "Okay, cool, sure." You know, that's fine. She was like, "I have to go and set up, but like if she comes and sits down for a reading, like I'll pay for it." And I'm like, no problem, not a problem at all. And I ended with that reading because it was like on an up note, because like, and she didn't tell me anything about her situation either. So it was like most of the people sitting down with me didn't tell me anything, um, mostly for good reason, some not so, like whatever. And I saw her, the way I was set up, I saw her looking past me to her friend and going like, like, oh my god, like, oh my god, oh my god, like, as in the reading was very accurate and needed. So I was just like, yeah, I was like, I'm going to end on that note. Because there was a part of me that wanted to just like fold up my table and stop after the skeptic, but it's just like, but the skeptic paid either way, so it's just like, so it's none of my business. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I gave the reading, I gave the best reading that I could, and I tried not to let it bother me, but yeah. So, but I'm very, very glad that I had the astrological forecast from Teresa so that I knew that I was walking into that energy. Not entirely, not every person, but I was warned. And with that knowledge, it's just like, when you know better, you do better, right? So that's kind of my intention in doing this live stream, talking about intuition, talking about divination. Um, and also doing the astrology every week, talking about the astrology every week. We want to work with the energy rather than rail against that energy. And if we can't change it, we can at least prepare for it. I don't know about that. Bet you bet you hit a few nerves for him. Possibly, probably. I was mostly looking at the cards, to be honest, for that person, because I was already a little pissed off. Um, to be frank, I was a little bit annoyed, but he sat down, he got his reading, I did the best that I could, and he paid, and that's all. That's my business, right? Can't do anything more or less, right? All right. Anyway, so thank you all for asking about the festival. It went well, for what it was, and yeah, and hopefully, um, the information that I gave was helpful to you if you want to do festival readings, and hopefully it's good for Dina, who was attending last week, and who is going to be doing festival readings. So yeah. All right. So astrology from Teresa Reed. So no major changes in the cosmos. So for Friday, so today, Friday, June 14th, Friday is a bit funky, beginning with the Moon-Venus square at 7:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, an aspect associated with relationship troubles and stupid spending. You may want to put important conversations or expenditures on hold until this lifts 2 hours later. The Sun-Mercury conjunction at 12:33 p.m. is fantastic for writing, networking, learning, negotiating, public speaking, and talking. And it's yours for 24 hours, so we're still in the midst of that. Dip in and let your inner wordsmith take the reins, which makes a lot of sense because we were recording an episode of Card Slingers Coast to Coast at that time. At 2:12 p.m., the moon strolls into Libra, your best lunation for networking. This weekend will be dope for rubbing elbows, so if you're attending an event, don't be shy. Where were you last week? This weekend instead of last weekend. Damn it. Anyway, two marvelous spots for mingling. The Moon-Pluto trine at 5:39 p.m. and the Moon, 5:39 p.m. So that's just passed, guys. And the Moon-Jupiter trine at 11:44 p.m. If you're out and about around those times, introduce yourself. Hello, I'm Hilary. You never know what impact that relationship might have later on. Also, if you're hosting an event this weekend, tonight and tomorrow are pure magic. So today, Friday, is a power day for Virgo and a weekday for Pisces. So pretty cool. I guess it's that's kind of funny considering considering I started this an hour early and we've still got some of the regulars here with me. So I guess I did right. And also because I want to go out mingling. Anyway, so Saturday skies are crystal clear, making an easy peasy day for anything you want to do. It's groovy for marketing, creating, and networking. If you need to sign a contract, that too. Sunday morning, so that's Saturday. That's the entirety of Saturday. Sunday morning is chill, but the afternoon proves to be a poison pill, beginning with the Moon Chiron opposition at 12:24 p.m. Old wounds and client drama drain your energy, so it's best to lay low. The Moon's Sun trine at 7:14 p.m. is okay if you want to market anything. However, Venus square Neptune at 11:46 p.m. opens up the possibility for PR fails, deceptive people with hidden motives, and unnecessary expenses. This aspect loiters like an unwanted date for 3 days, shields up and wallets closed. So both days, Saturday and Sunday, are power days for Libra and weekdays for Aries. So my Aries friends, it seems clear, but also it's weak for us. So I feel like this weekend is better suited for Aries or Aries rising to kind of like chill out rather than like making a lot of plans. Like make plans for pleasure, not so much for business. Like you need to get your relax on. But if you're Libra or with strong Libra placements, you could get a lot of stuff done this weekend. All right, so before we close out on the astrology, is there any particular days that you wanted me to take a look at before we move on to common blocks to intuition and tapping on them? And I am looking at the time and going like, oh, you motor mouth. You talk too long. Why do I always think it's going to be a short episode? Even when I'm trying very hard and saying that I have a hard stop at blank time. I'm thinking we may not do the mid-episode reading, unless, of course, somebody has a real hankering for it, because this is going to be all about intuition and common blocks to intuition. So it's just like, do you really need a mid-episode reading? I think I need to leave at 6:30. So I'm looking at it's like, I've got 15 minutes. So Fran is asking, what time do you need to leave? I've got 15 minutes. So thank you all. Thank you all for understanding. I will hide this then. So let's talk a little bit about common blocks to intuition. And again, I did mention at the top of the episode that it is going to be a more interactive episode. I am still going to pull the card for the weekend forecast. You know, I got to. It's just what I need to do. But for common blocks for intuition, see, I know the answer to this. Course, now I'm like looking around and seeing what we've got. I kind of want to use the Moonology for the weekend forecast, so I'm going to grab that out now. That way I have everything prepared and together. So I know what some of the common blocks to intuition are from doing my tarot intuitive chorus, which I haven't taught for years at this point because, you know, with the pandemic, it was all screens for a long time, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bear looking at a screen for one more moment. So I didn't teach it for a while, and I do want to make it, I believe, an evergreen chorus. I'm just going to put this earbud back in its case because I can't deal with it falling out of my ear. Got your charge up there, buddy, while I'm using this one. So when I was crafting the Tarot Intuitive Chorus, I did so many surveys. I'm glad you love the Moonology deck, Fran. I love it too. I don't use it as often as I would like to. And I didn't even bring it with me to the festival. I brought the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith, which I use mostly. I brought the Accurate AF. That I used in the final reading that I did, which was, of course, Accurate AF. So thanks, Accurate AF, for giving an Accurate AF reading. And then I used Work Your Light. And the first person that I worked with also uses the Work Your Light deck. And I did not know this until I pulled it out. And she was like, oh my God, I love that deck. I use it all the time. And I'm like, so, you know, meant to be, right? So when I was first crafting the Tarot Intuitive Chorus, part of the way I crafted it was that I used a chorus that I was taking in order to craft the chorus. It's called the Experience. It might not be called this anymore, but it's called the Experience Product Masterclass. That's what I signed up for. And basically, you learn it in order to create an experiencified product or chorus yourself, and understand basically the psychology behind gamification, and in order to craft a chorus that people actually stick with. And I realized up until that point that I was teaching tarot in a way that scared people off from tarot or scared people off from their intuition, because I was doing something that's called the thud factor, which is over giving, basically giving so much information that it became this, like, if you had printed out all of the information that I was giving, it would result in a thud when I put it down in front of somebody. So, and that scares people away. Instead of bringing them towards you and bringing them into the process of learning tarot, it ends up actually overwhelming them to the point where it's just like, oh, this is too much to learn. I'm going to gonna get out of here. And so I realized like that a lot of the things that I was doing in the hoping to be helpful, and really bringing people towards their intuition through tarot, which is my main thing. It's just like, am I really teaching this, or is it like, am I teaching them a tool so that they actually can access their intuition? Like, am I teaching them? It's like, am I actually teaching them tarot, or am I teaching them the way into their intuition? And tarot happens to be a part of it. So again, very, very philosophical. But one of the things that I was taught was, X-nay on the thud factor, like stop overwhelming people with the information and trickle out the information over time so that they're more likely to internalize it and use it and not be scared away from it. And then the other portion of it that I learned was crafting the experience, as you go, basically listening to your students and then giving them what they're asking for, basically. And some of it is, knowing knowing what they're going to be asking for before they ask for it and then giving it to them. And then some of it is making surveys and realizing maybe that what you thought you should be teaching is actually not what they want to learn or what the block actually is. So a part of that was doing surveys. And so I surveyed my newsletter subscribers and I came back with a lot of information, which I was able to then trickle out over time to generate interest to bring them into basically the splash page for the Tarot Intuitive. And, like, here's the chorus. I created it just for you because we are creating it together. It's just like, what do you want to learn? Okay, I will teach you that. So what does that have to do with blockages or blockages to accessing your intuition? I think that was one of the very first things that I asked was, what do you believe the blocks to your intuition are? And then over time, I answered those blockages. And it's just like, here's number one, here's number two, here's number three, and how my chorus helps to remove that blockage, basically, to the intuition. Is everything making sense so far? Because I don't know if I've lost you, or I got too in depth, or I did the thing that I was talking about not doing, which is the thud factor. And of course, I'm doing all of these tabs open at once again. See, that's what I'm talking. I'm here. My roommate was talking about Din. That's very important, Fran. That's very, very important. Nicosaurus says, makes sense. Awesome. Great. And Anne says, nice and clear. Yeah. So it's just like some of the blockages that we think that we have to our intuition, maybe they are blockages, but maybe sometimes they're excuses. And if you're triggered by that, yeah, I was triggered by that too. Yeah, so and it wasn't even what I said. It was actually the way I phrased it was the three biggest challenges to learning tarot and the solutions to each one. So what I said was when people attempt to learn tarot on their own, they quickly come up against each of the following challenges in rapid succession. And we can use learning tarot and accessing intuition like kind of interchangeably at this point, because I realized it's like Fran says, that's mean. I know. I know. I know. But I experience this too. I'm just like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to use learning tarot and accessing your intuition kind of interchangeably. So they quickly come up against each of the following challenges in rapid succession or all at the same time. They get nerves, they get a lack of confidence, they get the dreaded imposter syndrome. Time seems like a precious commodity, and there never seems to be enough of it to fit tarot in, or whatever divination system that you're trying to learn, or the day gets away from them, or they put off pulling a card to the next day or the next. And then finally, they try to memorize or interpret the cards and they get stuck. And then they put it down the deck, throw it in a drawer temporarily, permanently. And that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. And a lot of people have that experience where they try and they get overwhelmed and then they just don't do it. Because it is overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. But my hypothesis was that does it really have to be that overwhelming, or can we do this one step at a time? Like trying to release all of the obstacles to listening to your intuition, that's an impossible task. And that's not what I'm trying to do here. And I am looking at the time. I'm seeing that we only have about 4 minutes left. So I'm gonna beg forgiveness from Mr. Tarot by Hilary and be like, we need to tap on this. But it's not going to, this tapping is not going to knock it all out right away. Because, and there are some issues that you can tap on where you tap on it once, you're done. You don't have to tap on it again. Or there are other ones that are multifaceted that you have to tap on different aspects of it in order to finally release all of it. Now, to me, imposter syndrome, like, so earlier this week, I was on a coaching call with Gala Darling, who is my tapping instructor, who certified me in her method. And she was saying that imposter syndrome isn't real. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with her or disagree with her, but to her mind, imposter syndrome isn't real. So can't remember exactly what she said, but she was just like, imposter syndrome is not real. It's just simply you haven't done the thing yet, or you haven't done the thing enough times to feel confident about it. That's not imposter syndrome. That is simply you haven't done it enough to feel confident. So what's the solution? Practice, 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 right? So to me, accessing your intuition or learning tarot shouldn't be this big dreaded thing to learn or another obligation on your to-do list. And that's why I created the course that I did. I didn't want anyone to have to go it alone the way that I did, and the way a lot of people did of my generation. We didn't have the internet, really, in the way that a lot of people have the internet now. We didn't have YouTube, where you can go and you can learn anything. You can learn almost absolutely anything that you need to learn on these sites, which is amazing. However, it then becomes a different problem of being overwhelmed by so many different people that it's just like the thing that you want to learn, are you learning from the right source? Is this teacher that you found on the tube of you the right teacher for you, or is going to teach you in a way that complements your learning style? That's a thing. And it might not be me. It might be somebody else that you're drawn to. So it is good that we have all of these different sources or places that we can learn anything that we want to pretty much for free if we wanted to. But then you don't have really, I guess, discernment to know who's the right teacher for you. So Anne says, I befriend my cards and use pendulum to help confirm or try something different. And of course, read, read, read. Okay, so you are a learner that likes to read, you know, and I mean, I learned a lot of things in the same way. I primarily read. I learned things out of books. But I would say that tarot does have an experiential component where, you know, you can read about tarot all you want to. I know it's I know it's 6:30 and I will beg for Mr. Tarot by Hilary's forgiveness about it. But thank you. Thank you for being the time watcher. You can read and read, you know, but and you can read about tarot, you can read about whatever subject matter that you're learning, but the rubber really meets the road when you're actually doing. And when I first started, there was a lot of there was no shortage of guinea pigs to read tarot for, but I couldn't charge because I was still learning. And this is also something that I say a lot to my tarot students, especially if they want to become professional readers, is learning how to exchange a reading for something. Now, I'm not saying it's a barter system, but more about exchanging a reading for testimonials, for feedback that you can turn into testimonials. Because then when you do feel like you're off book and you want to start charging, you have your testimonials right there, baked in. And to me, word of mouth is always going to be the strongest thing that's going to get you clients, because what people are saying about you, that's still going to be the strongest thing. It's stronger than anything I have found. Right. And also, and saying, yes, and it's nice to get good feedback, positive or negative. Like, we're not going to know if we're doing a good job or a bad job without feedback. And unfortunately, this was part of what I realized when I was looking at these different blockages to intuition or to learning tarot was, you know, the unwillingness to be wrong, like wanting to be good at something the very first time you're doing it. Like, that's not realistic, guys. That's just not. You're gonna be bad before you be good. You know, you're gonna make mistakes. It's like a natural process of learning. So while I'm looking for this darn survey, please go ahead and put into the chat what you feel your blockage is to accessing your intuition. Might not be the same thing as learning tarot, but I want to know from you so that we can craft a tapping and common blocks to accessing your intuition, because I need that feedback. Let's talk about feedback, right? I need that feedback from you. What are the common blocks for you in accessing your intuition? All right. Fear and punishment. So tell us a little bit more about that. What are you fearing? What are you fearing? If you access your intuition, what are you fearing? Are you fearing what you're seeing? Or fearing what you might see by accessing your intuition? And where is this punishment aspect coming from? Do you feel like you're going to be punished if you say something or if you see something? Okay. Anne says, my block can be external demands. Tell me more. Tell me more about it. Katie's here. Hello, Katie. I'm sorry I didn't give you a heads up that I was broadcasting earlier today. I'm sorry. So we're talking a little bit about blockages to intuition and tapping on them once we have them. Common blockages to your intuition. So Anne, tell me more about external demands. Mm-hmm. By the way, as you're doing this, these are the common things to learning tarot. Disbelief of intuition, doubt. That's a big one. That's a big one. All right. So external demands might be people who wish outcomes different to card outcome. Yeah, yeah. And would you say also not wanting to disappoint people if the cards are saying something different, or if your intuition is saying something different to what they want or what you believe they want to be, want the outcome to be? Fran says, fear of what I might see. The punishment came from childhood where I would know things and get punished for knowing things that I couldn't know. Yeah. Or couldn't have known by regular means, right? Nicosaurus says, afraid to give the wrong advice, put a friend in a worse situation because of something I said. Yeah, that's a very common one too. And I've had that happen too. It's just like, you said this, but a part of giving a reading is knowing that this is not your reading, this is their reading. Like, the responsibility is on them in how they use that information that you're giving. So that can be very difficult to separate yourself from the reading that you're giving, and knowing whose responsibility is it. It's the person that's getting the reading. But of course, personal responsibility comes into it too, because you, like, what if you're wrong? Like, I mean, all of this is part and parcel. Like, oh my God, what if I'm wrong and I'm saying the wrong thing, and then I'm giving bad advice to this person, and like, it becomes a snowball effect in which you don't, like, you could put yourself into a freeze state because and not want to do anything at all because of what happens. It's like that kind of like butterfly effect. It's just like, if I say this, then this person this, and and then 10 years later they're married with this person and this kid and this, and it's my fault. Like, you could really do a number on your head if you start to do that. Yeah. Yeah. And Anne says that's hard, Fran. Yeah. Fear of what I might see, being punished for knowing things that I couldn't possibly have known. Anne says, not willing to change info as I don't want to misdirect, but wording of info is another skill. Yes, 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 yes. Really good, guys. So now I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit harder because we are tapping on this. What do you think the root of all of this is for you? Doesn't have to be, and there's no right or wrong answer, but for you, what is the root of it? Now, for me, I'm not going to tell you what my root is, because I don't want to give it away, because my root may be completely different from yours. Yours is still valid. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Yeah, people pleaser. People pleaser. Can you go a little deeper? Can we do the self-awareness mambo or limbo? Most of the reasons come down to doubt, whether the doubt or disbelief comes from external sources. Fran says shame. I told you we're going to be tapping on this. So, so now that you've shared, and I'm sure you keep sharing, that's fine. Now that you've shared, mine comes from worthiness. And a lot of the stuff that I tap on personally, my own tapping practice, is on worthiness and allowing me to be worthy, allowing me to be worthy to have this tarot practice, allowing me to be worthy to give readings to clients and be paid money for it, allowing me to feel that I'm worthy of this beautiful apartment that I live in with my husband, worthiness that I actually have a freaking husband, worthiness that I have, a job that I love, and even my retail job that I love. I do enjoy it, but worthiness, it always comes down to worthiness for me. Am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of seeing the things that I see, giving the readings that I give, having a cabinet of tarot decks, having tarot publishers send me review boxes, because there is a part of me that has that feeling of, I'm going to be found out. Someone's going to find out that I'm not as good as I think I am, or that I'm a fraud, or I'm a charlatan, or I'm a this or a that. And most of the time, like the real deals, they will have doubt. They will ask themselves, am I a fraud? Am I this? Am I supposed to know that? How am I seeing that? What gives me the right? All of that stuff comes up. And the people that are true charlatans, or the people that are true, snake oil salesmen, they don't have a moment of doubt in their lives. But the real ones do. Katie says, another, like, you aren't supposed to know this stuff. There might be a little bit of playing God in there, sure. So worthiness does equal being or having this ability. Yeah, I think so. There's definitely a part of me that thinks that. Are you intuitive? Or where does intuition come from? Does it come from the fact that you are intuitive, or that you believe you can be intuitive? Or am I getting too Matrix and the Oracle for you guys? Because I love this shit. I'll talk about this shit all the time. And I know, time check, right? So I'm trying to open. For some reason, it's just not coming up. And it's kind of hilarious. Like, none of these files want to open for me. It's hilarious. So I guess it might be a sign that I don't need to actually access these surveys. But let me see. Let me just close some stuff up. That could be a part of this too. That I've got too many tabbies going all at once. Yeah, I think I have to just close all of that because I am slowing down. My computer is slowing down like immensely right now. Hopefully you're still with me, guys, so that we can actually tap on this stuff. Now that we've, pulled all of this information up. So Katie says, I was watching a documentary last night where a neuroscientist was explaining intuition, the parts that we're aware of, and we all have it. Okay, cool. So science is backing me up. Yes. Their description included us having developed the information earlier in our childhood. But for me, that doesn't explain having information about where things are in places I've never been before. I could observe cues or clues to their place. Yeah, so that to me came almost either like past life or remote viewing. You know, like some of it is like really interesting because it's just like which part of it, like which part of intuition is actually at play here, and let's narrow down a little bit. Like wow, it just got real, like it is, looks like it's storming here. Good. I'm glad you guys are still with me. So anyway, um, so sometimes we get bogged down in the description of intuition and where the intuition is coming from, and that can be also a blockage to the intuition, is over analyzing it. You know, even though we want to understand it, we want to analyze it, we're trying to understand it with our brains, but probably with the rational side of our brain rather than with the intuitive side of our brain or our spirit. And in that, we're kind of like over analyzing the magic of intuition right out of it. And it's just like, if you want to, oh, good. Breaking up visually, fantastic. Great. This has also happened when I've been doing tapping with people over Skype or over Zoom. We like clearly something's happening. Also, it is storming outside too, so it's quite possible that that's happening as well. Um, but sometimes in the analysis of where the intuition is coming from, is it like clairaudience? Is it clairsentience? Is it this? Is it that? Oh, the lips are not syncing up. Okay, cool. Great. Let me double check this on the two of you because we might have to do a part 2 of this, guys, and not even get into the tapping tonight if it's really that bad. I'm looking. It looks fine on the two of you guys, so there might be a little bit of lagginess, which I can't help. But I don't know. Sorry. Do we want to tap a little bit on this? And if so, get yourself some water. I need to go. Okay, cool. So Katie says, still okay, a little bit blurry, but still in sync for me. All right, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm going to say, grab your water. I think we're going to tap on this because we've dredged up a lot of stuff here. And I want you to go back to not necessarily the first thing that you said to me in blockages to your intuition, but the underlying. Okay. So not the first thing that you said to me, but the second thing that you said to me. All right. Go ahead and put that into the chat. Or if there's something else that came up for you while I've been speaking about this, like put that into the chat while I go get water. And if you don't have water, like go grab it. We're gonna tap on this right now. Mm-hmm. Yep. This happens all the time. Our intuitive energy is sucking up the computer's energy, LOL. Or it could be that it is started to pour cats and dogs here, which I knew it was coming, but all right. And I see that somebody is asking for a reading in the chat. Certainly, you can book a reading with me at tarotbyhilary.com. Please and thank you. All right. So, you know what? I am just realizing I have the answers right here. Nope, it's not that. I think I found it. Okay, cool. See, driving myself nuts about it, and I finally found it. So here. I found it, I found it, I found it. And I'm putting it into the chat. But this is what I was talking about. What I was talking about was the survey about what you wanted in a tarot course, which is not actually what you wanted in a tarot course, but more about blockages to your intuition. So the three biggest challenges: confidence, finding practice time, memorization, and interpretation. So confidence to me was more about imposter syndrome. Okay. So there are still days where I wake up feeling like a fraud, not sure I should be where I am. If it's helpful to have some arrogance with paranoia. If we were all paranoid, we'd never leave the house. If we were all arrogant, no one would want us to leave the house. I still sometimes feel like a loser kid in high school. And I just have to pick up myself up and tell myself that I'm a superstar every morning so that I can get through the day and be for my fans what they need me to be for them. I have this constant fear that I'm a fraud and that I'm going to be found out. So in that, I basically said, like, I gave all of these different quotes and I said, like, do you know who said what? Or do you have no idea? Or do some of the quotes sound like something that you've said or thought? Because believe it or not, some of these quotes were said by Meryl Streep, Emma Watson, Sheryl Sandberg, Daniel Radcliffe, Lady Gaga, David Bowie, Tom Hanks. It's just like the person that still feels like a loser kid in high school, Lady Gaga, the freckle-faced kid faking it till he makes it, Ryan Reynolds, who the heck do I think I am? Any second now they're going to figure out I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And that was me when I first attended Reader Studio. So this more about confidence and imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is the pervasive belief held by successful people, very often, perhaps usually women, that they're in fact frauds who have managed to dupe their way to the top. And we often internalize messages that we are not good enough. That's a thing. That's the number one. Not good enough, not worthy. And a sense of our failings can undercut our ability to accept our own achievements and successes. So I should have known that it was the number one challenge to accessing your intuition or keeping a regular tarot practice. So that's number one, imposter syndrome. Letting the day get away from yourself is another one. And then the final one was about memorization. While memorization can work for people, it doesn't work for everybody. And I have come to the conclusion that with memorization, it's not necessary if you're using something that is visual based like tarot. Anyway, if that's interesting to you and that survey results and everything, you have the link in the chat. Okay. Anyway, back to tapping on blocking our intuition. So I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to see here. So, not wanting to change info, fear of what I might see, disbelief of intuition, fear and punishment. What else? And worthiness. Yes, worthiness. And anyone who says something that supports that belief, we believe them more than those who tell us how deserved or good we are. Yes. And we're wired. We are hardwired to believe the bad over the good, to believe the negative over the positive. Why is it easier to believe? I don't know. Kelsey is asking, hi, can I ask a question, please? You can ask a question about what we're talking about tonight, which is unblocking your intuition by using tapping. If you're asking about asking the tarot question, you can book a reading with me at tarotbyhilary.com. All right, so I'm going to put this on the screen and we're going to start tapping. Now, again, tapping, you can find out more about tapping. I've done a couple of episodes on it. You can search the archives or the replays at on the Tube of You or the Book of Face. But let's go ahead and have some water. See, and Katie, that's exactly what I wanted to say. I think worthiness hits it most because from that list, worthiness comes down to the reason why we don't think that they are any good. And that is my basis for personal tapping. That's the reason why my basis for my personal tapping practice is on worthiness, because that is a source for me of a lot of the stuff that I'm working through. Now, that may not be your source, but I know it's definitely my source. And this is the reason why with tapping, we go very in depth and we talk about, there's the symptoms, which are the leaves on a tree, and then there's the trunk, and then there is the roots. And if we're tapping on the symptoms, we could get some relief, we could get some release, but we're probably not going to get as much as if we're tapping on the roots. Make sense? Now, tapping is a psychological and somatic practice in which we tap on different points of the body and then we speak aloud. And it is basically tap on the points. It's pretty easy. If you want to go more in depth, again, you can search my videos on, tapping. But all you have to do for the purposes of this video is tap on the points that I do when I tap on them and repeat after me. So I will leave time for you to echo back what I say. But right now, I want you to just drink some water. And we're going to start on the side of the hand. And I am going to hold this down so that you can see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So tap on, this is side of hand point, fleshy bit on the outside of your hand here. And the pressure is basically if you want to attract someone's attention in front of you at a loud concert, just that amount of pressure. Don't bang on your hand. You're not beating yourself, okay? So tap on the side of your hand and repeat after me. Even though I feel like I'm never going to access my intuition, I love and accept and I forgive myself. Hilary says all the time that everyone has intuition. She says it at the start of every live video. And I want to believe her, but I don't know if I can believe myself. There is some part of me that doesn't think that I'm worthy of accessing my intuition. Because it's easier to believe that I am small and silly and stupid than it is for me to believe that I'm worthy. And there may have been times in the past when I was a small child that I knew things that I couldn't possibly have known. And when I spoke those things out loud, I was inevitably punished. Either punished for being sneaky or overhearing something that I shouldn't have overheard, or any number of things. Instead of just the simple fact of, I was given a gift. I was given a gift that everyone was given. And now my job is accepting it. It was easier to accept when I was younger than it is for me to accept now. And there may be many reasons for that. And it could be all wrapped up in worthiness and shame, fear of what I might see, fear of saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, so much fear. But there have been times in my life where it was scarier to not say something than to say it. And there have been times in my life where it felt really, really scary, but I knew that saying something was the right thing to do. So even though in the past I have been fearful of my intuition, been fearful of accessing it, or been fearful that it didn't even exist in the first place, I love and accept and forgive myself. And maybe even anybody else that made me feel it was wrong to access that part of myself. My intuition is a part of me. And there is no part of me that is wrong. There is no part of me that is bad. There is no part of me that is unworthy. I am worthy of my intuition. And it's there to help me if I let it. And it's there to help others if I choose. All right, stop there. Take a nice deep breath in. Hold it at the top and let it go. All right. Take a nice big swig of water if you're feeling so guided. Now that's just the setup statement. And I want to know what came up for you. Was there any release? Was there any relief? Did you yawn? Did you get really emotional? Did you cry? Did you burp? Did you hiccup? Did you sneeze? These are all very, very common releases that show that the tapping is working, that we're tuning in. And there might have been things that came up for you, possibly from your childhood, probably a memory that you haven't thought of in years. And if you feel so willing, go ahead and put in the chat. Because this is what your intuition is for. It's for guiding you, it's for helping you, making the roads in our life just a little bit easier. Is it a hell yes or is it a hell no? Where does this reaction reside? In your tummy, in your heart, between your eyes, your fingertips? It's GPS for your life. And no one likes to hear, I told you so. And a lot of the time with intuition, especially when you ignore it, and then you have that moment of just like, oh, I should have done this. It's just like, it is that I told you so moment, but it's from your intuition. So Katie says, yawned at the end, discomfort at the words discomfort at the words through like my skin wanted off of my body. Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that like, ooh, I want to tear my skin off. Yeah. Mostly the stimulation gave me space to think without thinking about what I'm thinking about. Yeah, yeah. So it had that kind of like maybe a peaceful calming effect. as well. Hmm. Felt taller and reassured. Awesome. Good, good. Um, yeah, like an uncomfortable cloak on my back. I wanted to shrug the discomfort off. Ooh, let's do it. Okay. Anything else? Because I'm getting vibes. Um, you can continue to put it into the chat, but if you put it into the chat, I'll know that you're not tapping along with me. Let your fingers do the walking. Okay. So we're going to start on the top of the head. Just follow along with me, tap on the points that I do, and repeat after me. It's kind of similar to this, except we're going to be going through the points. So keep your eyes open. Um, I might close them because I know what the points are and I'm trying to tune into my intuition. Intuition is a big part of tapping, being a tapping practitioner, a tapping facilitator too, going with the words that are coming, you know. So I'm going to remove this comment, but this, I want to start with this. So I'm seeing it here. I am ready to shrug off that cloak, that uncomfortable, itchy cloak, that cloak of doubt, that cloak of doubting my intuition. I am ready to shrug it off. It is so freaking itchy. Because I know what I know. And knowing what I know, no matter where that knowing is coming from, there's just one more step to that knowing. And that is doing. That is acting on my intuition. And that can be really freaking scary. Because what if I'm wrong? Like Hilary said, I might be wrong before I'm right. Can my ego take the hit of being wrong? Guess what? Yeah, it can. Because I have been wrong before. And if I'm watching this video, that means I didn't die from it. So what if I can get comfortable with being wrong? So that I can make space for those moments of being right. Because accessing my intuition is not about a haha, I told you so. I want to access my intuition so I can feel confident, so that I can sit up straighter, so that when I make decisions, I do it from a place of peace, and that I can stand confidently in those decisions. My intuition is there to help me. It's been there the whole freaking time. Like, it literally makes me laugh how long it's been there for me. And maybe it's just been me not listening or not even aware that it's there. It may be as simple as opening up a door or knocking down a wall that I didn't even know I built. And whoop, there's my intuition on the other side. And she's cute and she's pink and sparkly. Or she looks a lot like me, except Y is an ethereal. And however my intuition looks, I'm ready to embrace it. Give it a nice big hug and tell it how sorry I am for even doubting its existence. There is so much anecdotal proof of my intuition's existence. It's there in the pages of my diary from when I was a child. It's there in uncomfortable family lore. It's there from every time I answered the phone and knew who was calling, or saw spirits or fairies in the forest, or even walked out of a room before a fight took place. If I am willing to look for evidence of my intuition, I will find it in spades. So even though in the past I have felt blockages to my intuition, I love and I accept and I forgive myself. And maybe anybody else that may have contributed to my doubts. Maybe I'm not willing to forgive them. But maybe I'm willing of thinking about possibly forgiving them. They knew not what they did. Because maybe they saw evidence of my intuition and it scared the shit out of them. For the very same reasons it scared the shit out of me. Or maybe they realized they could be capable of the same. But for whatever reason, I know that the wall is knocked down, or the door has been opened, and my intuition can come and go as it likes now. And I'm willing to accept it with open arms. And so it is. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and let it go. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think that helped me. How's everyone feeling? And hopefully I didn't lose any of you due to the weather or the energy racing. Sometimes happens with tapping. Not gonna lie. Yeah. So Katie says, think it's gonna have to sink in. Yeah, and it might take some time. I would say be gentle with yourself. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you get a good night's sleep. Um, you know, may take time to integrate this and yeah, good soup. Yeah, I will take that as a compliment. That's awesome. Anne says that was awesome. My fingers are tingling. This also happens when I give a Reiki session. Okay, cool. So you've got so you're into the sensations, the same sensations that you would feel with intuition or with tapping. Same thing would happen with Reiki. Yeah. I found that to be a very common feedback, but I will take it. Um, so you may have to revisit this tapping again. We were talking a little bit about worthiness. Um, and part of the tappings that I give, like, this is the reason why I like to record the tappings. Thankfully, you can revisit the replay whenever you want to. Um, but the more that you get to the roots of the issue, the the lesser amount of sessions of tapping you would have to do and the quicker the release. But it's also not about that too. And shit like this is going to come up from time to time. You're going to doubt, you're going to have those moments, like honestly, as Heat Big Tarot reader, I have those moments. Like, I give a really good reading and I'm just like, I am the greatest tarot reader alive. And Mr. Tarot by Hilary is very used to this, where like I walk out of the room where I'm giving the reading and I'm just like, I am the best ever. And then, some situation comes along where it's just like, I don't know shit, So it has that very, very much, it's like lots and lots of ego, but then also, taking my ego down a peg or five as well at the same time. So, like there is that combination of confidence, but then also humbling that happens. So sometimes that does happen with intuition. Sometimes that happens in the space of a tarot reading where it's just like, there's no way I could possibly have known the things that I'm saying. But then at the same time, you know, I'll have a reading with someone and I do a terrible job. It still happens. It's much fewer and far between now that been doing this for 20 years. I should hope so. I should hope that, after this many years of doing however many tarot readings, I'm good at my job. But, there are always going to be those moments of self doubt. And, um, you know, we are hardwired to believe the bad over the good. It's like the bad is easier to believe, basically. In the words of Julia Roberts's character in Pretty Woman, it's like the bad is easier to believe. Um, so yeah, you might have to do this tapping more than once. Um, or you might have to tackle it from a different angle, or like, I have found that there's no issue that is not able to be tapped on. Sometimes it is a matter of finding the way in, though, or the underlying. That's the reason why when I do one-on-one tappings with people, I spend a lot of time doing an investigation and asking the questions. And actually, I had some practice earlier this week with a fellow GDM certified person, and he called me a bitch. And but I laughed because he was just like, I knew the questions were coming because he's trained in the exact method that I'm trained in, and it is very much about investigation and personalizing and getting to the roots. And so when I asked the question that he knew was coming, he was like, oh damn it, I knew you were going to ask that question. And it's just like, and I don't know the answer, but I do know the answer, but I don't know the answer. So like afterwards, and he was just like, she asked me the questions, and it's just like, and I should have known that question was coming because I know that, because I do this. And it's just like, it's very interesting feeling this from the other side when you're in the hot seat, so to speak. So I took it as a compliment. She's like, oh, you bitch. So it's just like, but it's what I'm trained to do. And I also do want to remind you that just because my website says Tarot by Hilary, I also do tapping as well. That is something that I offer. So if you do like the taste of this tapping on intuition or clearing obstacles to your intuition, and you want to go even deeper and work with me one-on-one, so that I can give you a much more personalized session, go a little bit deeper, I also offer that as well on my website. All right. So yeah, give yourself plenty of water tonight. Give yourself a good night's rest. I will beg Mr. Tarot by Hilary's forgiveness because I feel like we needed this tonight. I feel like we needed this tapping tonight of all nights. And let's move on to the weekend forecast so that I can get going. And a reminder that we do this every Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, even though we started earlier tonight because I have plans. Oopsies. I have plans. That is starting like an hour later than I wanted to, but still. Who knows? Maybe there's a rain delay going on. So, like I said earlier, I'm feeling called to use the Moonology Oracle cards by Yasmin Boland. For the weekend forecast, I will use a tarot or an oracle deck. Most of the time, I will use an oracle deck. So this is the oracle deck that I'm using. Now, we know the astrology for this weekend. So if the astrology from the Moonology conflicts with the astrology that's actually present or going on, you know, keep that in mind. If it's the same, like that's even more of an emphasis. So I'll try and see if there's a match or a mismatch. So Katie says, thank Mr. Tarot by Hilary from us letting you do this. I will for definite. He understands. He gets it. Most of the time, he gets it. And then one of these days, he might come on camera, maybe. I mean, you've heard him in the background before. So you've heard his dulcet tones before. Have a lovely evening. We're almost there. Almost there. I will have a lovely evening. I'm just hoping it's not pouring rain by the time you have to walk out to my car. Hopefully not. All right. Okay. So yeah, for definite, I need to thank him. So the weekend forecast from Moonology is new moon in Aquarius, bring love into the situation. So I will definitely bring love into the situation when I'm thanking him. So I don't believe it is the new moon this weekend, though. New moon in Taurus, new moon in Aries, new moon in Aquarius. Okay, so what does that mean? From the guidebook, Aquarius is all about progress and modernity. So this is the time to move forwards. Yes. I'm gonna wait for that to pop up. His amazing burps too, LOL. Yes, he has some amazing belches and burps. Okay. Aquarius is all about progress and modernity. So this is the time to move forwards. The new moon in Aquarius card means no looking back. Change is on its way, and it could come quickly. Whether you get the change you want depends both on whether you believe you can have it. Guys, come on. Weren't we tapping on worthiness? The underpinnings, right? The change, whether you get the change you want depends both on whether you believe you can have it and how much you're relying on others to bring it to you. This card comes with the suggestion that you may need to do things independently on your own, but be loving, not too pragmatic. Time may be of the essence when this card comes up. Aquarius energy has an electric feel to it. Certainly there is a sense that you need to let go of the past and move towards your future as soon as possible. Man, guys. So attune to the moon. Explore the idea that it's not what you know, but whom you know. Interesting. Additional meanings. You need to be more detached from the situation. Thinking outside the box will bring the solution. More pragmatism is called for. Improve your karma by doing some charitable work. So the teaching of Aquarius. Aquarius is the sign of invention, modern advances, and technology, and humanity. Its energy is a little brittle. It's individual, scientific even, and relatively emotionally detached. Many people think Aquarius is a water sign because the Aquarius symbol is the water bearer, but it's actually an air sign and is far more about intellect than the emotional water signs. And as is this card, no matter when you draw it. Dropping convention works well with this energy. Okay. Okay. All right. Yes. So Katie says the cards don't lie. And Nicosaurus says excitement. Yes. So the lesson for this weekend, for the weekend forecast, bring love into the situation. There is that streak of independence about doing something differently, but also embracing the change that you want and considering the portion of it of worthiness, you know, the change that you want. It's not about if you're capable of the change that you want, but are you worthy of the change that you want? Do you believe that you can have the change that you want? Like, dude, these cards, man, these cards, they will come for me and they will come for you no matter what I do. Oof. Yeah. Yes. So, and I do recommend what Katie is going to do, going over this video again and doing this tapping again so this lesson sinks in. There is no such thing as an overdose of tapping. You can do tapping as much or as little as you want to. I try and do a tapping every single day on different things. But I would say, know your root. And if your root is in worthiness, like mine is, then many of your tappings are going to be related to that. So that might be your way in to different situations that you want to tap on again and again and again, is your relation to the worthiness about the thing that you are tapping on or tapping in. All right, so thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for rolling with me as I started up the episode early. And I will thank Mr. Tarot by Hilary for you all, for his magnanimousness and his patience in sharing me with you, and heading out the door a little bit later than we expected. Once again, we do this every Friday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless, I have plans that caused me to start the broadcast earlier and then keep going until a regular time anyway. If you would like a reading with me, tarotbyhilary.com, and you can also book a tapping session with me as well, or a combination of the two. In the I don't know what I need session, we do tarot, we do tapping, we do magic, we do pretty much everything. So yeah, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. You too as well, Katie. Be safe in the rainy weather. We will do so. Thank you all again so much for watching. Once again, I am Hilary, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your intuition, because you have it. That gift, you have intuition. Clearly, because we just did a tapping on it, you have it. The blocks, the way is clear. Use your intuition. All right. I love you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.